Shalom. Giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, this is how you know that there are certain individuals who preach Yahushai, but they only preach him, out of strife and contention. And when an opportunity presents itself, these type of individuals will insert themselves into matters that have nothing to do with them. It'll give them the time to, try to appear righteous, trying to judge a situation, to give ridicule, call themselves trying to rebuke. And it's an opportunistic thing that they do. And really it's just them channeling the inner hurt, the feelings, the emotions, that they're experiencing, because they ain't been right since being rejected, since being casted away. All right. So every now and then you'll have these individuals that'll, try to include themselves in a matter that have nothing to do with them, knowing that they've been ousted from the body and they have no association whatsoever. All right. And this latest example, all right, this individual, he was ousted from the body, I would say over a year now. He's all the way in the UK, so he really don't have any inside intel into any matters going on within the body here in the States. You on the other side of the world and you're not even within the body, because we have brothers, that's in these other parts of the world. All right. And they're in tune. All right. They're tapped in. All right. They're within the means of communication. All right. But when there's matters or issues going on, you outsiders, you ain't got nothing to do with that. All right. So, it's best to just mind your business, but you can't help yourself because you are those individuals that Paul was speaking about. Those that preach Yahushai of strife. Let me get that in Philippians real quick. This is the book of Philippians 1:15. It says, some indeed preach Yahushai even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. The one preach Yahushai of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. So if this individual was sincere, he would have at least examined the matter, which really has nothing to do with them. Really he can just continue to teach and move on about his life. But he still wants to pay attention to what goes on with brothers that are still within the body. He can't get over it. He can't move on. And it's a lot of guys that's operating in this same spirit. All right. The brothers mentioned about the former head of the Bay Area camp. He got ousted from the body, and he since then he's tried to, he'll throw subtle shots, he'll throw shade in a passive aggressive manner. They'll try to be subliminal, try to generalize what he say. But over the years, he's been the one that's been rallying up that spirit amongst these castaways. And then when situations like this happen, they find an opportunity, and that's where they'll come and try to insert themselves to um, ridicule and call themselves rebuking and speaking out against, what's going on within the body, knowing that they've been long ousted from the body. So that's not out of sincerity. It's literally is verily out of contention and strife. Because this is the only time you'll basically hear from these type of individuals. All right, they'll gather up on the comment section and try to rebuke you. They'll use the opportunity to misapply the scriptures. Like this individual, he took when Yahushua said, "You shut up the kingdom of heaven," to men. He tried to apply that to the elder, because the elder simply objected, to another individual who has his own camp, by the way, to actually come out and stand before him while he teaches his camp. That had nothing to do with that particular situation. Shutting up the kingdom to men was you placing that burden, trying to keep them under the standard of the old covenant, when, Jake was all guilty of the law. And it was, binding them basically to a curse, because you're cursed if you don't do everything contained in the law, to live by everything in the law. So that's what that's talking about, not you being allowed to come and just stand before a man in the ministry and teaching. All right, that has nothing to do with that, but he misapplied that scripture because he's trying to be messy. He's trying to find reason to store up some kind of vitriol and bad blood, because that's a win in their eyes, to be able to make us look bad under any circumstance, because they still feel the way they feel about being casted out. So they thrive off of rebellion. All right, and the scriptures say only an evil man seeketh rebellion, but he have no idea that a evil messenger will eventually visit him. Mind your business and just continue to teach. What's wrong with that? What this does is it gives guys like you, and you feel like you're getting incentive for making these kind of videos and stirring up that strife. You think it gives you some type of spiritual cachet. It gives you like a new lifeline. Like you think that you're in the spirit. But all you're doing is just you're meddling, and you're not working. All right. Let me get this real quick. It's like, let me. Yeah, here it is. Let me read it in the NLT. This is 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 11. It says, "Make it your goal to live a quiet life, minding your own business and working with your hands." All right. Go out there and put your work in. Stop minding us and what we got going on, what we're doing. All right. Just as we instructed you before, then people who are not Christians will respect the way you live, and you will not need to depend on others. And yeah, that's talking about, you actually working to be able to take care of yourself and your family and not being lazy. But even in this thing of ours, man, some of you dudes, you got all that idle time to be worrying about what brothers is doing. All right. And you're not even on fire yourself. The only time you have some type of ferventness is when there's something controversial, or you finally get the opportunity to insert yourself into a matter that have nothing to do with you, just so that you can, rebuke, so that you can make a video, talking shit and getting whatever is on your mind off of you, you know. And you're not getting any brownie points with the Most High when you're doing that. It's a way you wasting your time. And this made you look bad because you really didn't understand the overall situation. The elder wasn't in the wrong. It's just you being messy and idle and trying to insert yourself where you don't belong. You're not even in a body. So you're not a priority and you're not a responsibility. So we're not even concerned with you. So why are you concerning yourself with what goes on here? You know? That brother had a right to object to that man, whoever the brother was, to come to his camp. That's his say so. So you trying to shame the elder because he objected to that, and you saying that he's trying to shut up the kingdom of the Most High to men, and you just being a demon. You're being very contentious. And guys like y'all, you thrive off of the confusion, because that's all it is. You literally have a lifeline, all right, in confusion. And the scriptures say where there's envy and strife, there's nothing but confusion in every good work. All right, it's like you're not good, evil work, because that's all that's being done. This is James 3:16, and it says, I'll start at 15. It says, "For jealousy and selfishness are not the Most High's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind." And it's definitely the latter. You got that envious, jealous, spirit, because you're no longer a part of the body, and the body is just simply moving on without you. So now your job is to just find fault, any opportunity to find fault, so that you can try to cast a brother down to make the body look bad, just to make yourself feel secure. That's not of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. And let me get this, because now you're getting rebuked now. You should have never inserted yourself in this matter, because it was none of your business. 1 Peter 4:15, and it says, "If you suffer, however, it must not be for murder, stealing, making trouble, or prying into other people's affairs. But it is no shame to suffer for being a follower of the Anointed. Praise the Most High for the privilege of being called by His name." All right. And right now you're suffering because you inserted yourself. It had nothing to do with you. All right. Let me get Proverbs 26:17. Let me get this one in the Amplified. And it says, "Like one who grabs a dog by the ears and is likely to be bitten is he who passeth by stops to meddle with a dispute that is none of his business." You know, and it really wasn't even a dispute, because the brother that the elder, did the testimony about, he acknowledged his offense. You know, he actually did the right thing and acknowledged his trespass. But you inserted yourself, and now you're not innocent. And now, you getting rebuked. And there's a reason why you are not with the body, you are not a good fit. You put hands on a brother, and that's why you got kicked out. And now it's further showing you are a contentious spirit. You do not preach Yahweh Shai to sincerity. You know? And there's several dudes who still lingering around. And that's pretty much their ministry. Strife and contention, finding alt or whatever they can use to blame the body, because they've been rejected, they've been ousted. So don't be surprised when Yahweh Shai turn you away and tell you, I never knew you. Because you could have been using this time to actually do the work. Go and prophesy. So we gotta, these individuals, they come around for some time, and then, they fizzle out. All right. And in due time, the Most High is going to either scatter them, or he's going to, the Lord's going to start bringing judgment down. Okay. His guides in his feelings. He doesn't know how to control his emotions. He don't know how to rule his spirit. And he's contentious. He's a fractious type of individual. Those type of characters, they don't belong in the body. They're not a good fit. So if I was you, I'd mind my business and continue to seek the Lord's mercy. Continue to just do the work. All right, because any situation you got going or you get yourself into, it's definitely not our concern. We don't care. All right, and matter of fact, let me get this real quick. This is 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 13. I'm going to start at 12. 1 Corinthians 5 and 12, it says, it isn't my responsibility to judge outsiders, because they're without the body. They're not a part of us. It says, but it certainly is your responsibility to judge those inside the church who are sinning. And that's the only responsibility that the elders, the bishops, the apostles, the camp heads, our only responsibility is those that's within the body. So we're going to judge matters that are within. We don't care about what goes on the outside. So if you've been kicked out, ousted for any reason, and you're no longer a part of us, you ain't got nothing to do with us, man. We don't care what your gripe is, your grievance. We don't care, man. It says the Most High will judge those on the outside. So all you dudes out there talking shit, hey, you still got to operate on your own. And the Lord, he's gonna judge you outside of the body. So you better hope like hell that you eventually get in good standing with him. It says, but as the scriptures say, you must remove the evil person from among you. So you do any wickedness amongst us, you're gonna get casted out. You're gonna get the boot. And he got the boot. And this dude, you could tell he never changed. Which is why he's being messy now, trying to find a gripe. So yeah, man, mind your business, man. And hey, with that, let me give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Shalom.